As I film this, Thanksgiving has just come to its conclusion. I've stuffed myself. I don't want to do very much of anything. I think what I'm going to do is just to lie back and watch some horror movies. Fortunately, I got some new ones. Well, as I said at the top of the video, Thanksgiving has just passed, and I'm overstuffed and exhausted. I spent 4 days cooking my feast this year, and then I ate it, so I'm going to make this a brief video, as brief as I possibly can, just because of that exhaustion. And of course, you're going to be seeing this late, just because of the way the timing worked out, so yes, it's December by the time you're seeing this, but it's Thanksgiving as I record it. Regardless, the HorrorPack for November 2024 has just arrived. In case you don't know, HorrorPack is the horror movie subscription service. Every month they send us one of these boxes, and it contains 4 horror Blu-rays. We never know what's going to be inside, except that there are 4 horror Blu-rays, and one of them will be a HorrorPack exclusive of some sort. They tend to be pretty good. I am a very happy long-term customer of HorrorPack. And one of the things I like to do here on this channel is I open up these boxes, just like I'm doing right now. And I have no idea what's inside, but I'm going to find out and I'm going to share with y'all. And hopefully we see some interesting stuff. So if you've heard that a million times, my apologies. But if you haven't heard that a million times, that means you're new here. So welcome. Do be sure to subscribe, ring my bell, like, share, leave me a comment, all those kinds of things. Those really help me a lot, very much appreciated. Also, something that the people who have been around for a while probably know, I put purchase links for these movies right down there in the What's It. So if you're not a subscriber to HorrorPack and you're interested in any of these films, there are links down there. Convenient for you to be able to find these movies for yourself. And these, I tend to think physical media is a great idea. If I can find physical copies, I'll show you where you can get one. It's also a good way to help support my work here on this channel, which is also very much appreciated. But y'all aren't here to hear me prattle on about advertising my own stuff or telling you the same thing that I tell you every time I do one of these videos. You're here to see what's in the November HorrorPack, so let's dive right in and see what we got. And the first one to come out is a film entitled The Owners, starring Maisie Williams from, Game of Thrones. This one I have seen before. It's, well, let me read the description off the back of so you can hear their words, and then I can talk about it a little bit. It says, a group of friends think that they found the perfect easy score, an empty house with a safe full of cash. But when the elderly couple that lives there comes home early, the tables are suddenly turned. As a deadly game of cat and mouse ensues, the would-be thieves are left to fight to save themselves from a nightmare they could never have imagined. I think that's a pretty fair description of what this is about. It's one of those where people do as they oughtn't. In this case, they break in and try to rob a house. Don't do that. Bad idea for a whole mess of reasons. Immoral, unethical, and if you happen to be in a horror movie, as these kids find themselves, the kind of justice that's coming your way is the kind of justice that really can only exist in a horror movie, and that's what happens in this one. It's been a minute since I've seen it. I recall liking it. I wouldn't say loving it. It's not like it was a new favorite or anything, but I thought it was a pretty good one. I think I might already have a copy of this one. I gotta check my records, but every once in a while you do get a duplicate because you never know what you're gonna get. But if you have not seen it, I think this one would be a pretty good one. I will re-watch it before I do a proper review. And by the way, if you don't know, if you're new here, every month I open these up and I talk about them a little bit, but generally I haven't seen the films yet, so later on I'll do a review video in which I go back to the previous month or a previous month, depending on how far behind I get, and actually review all of the films. So again, subscribe and stay tuned for that. But the next one is a film entitled Seance, and this is from the creators of Your Next and Orphan. I've seen films called Seance before, but this is not one of them. It says, mysterious, macabre, and plenty bloody. Scream meets Black Christmas. Suki Waterhouse is the kind of horror hero we need but don't deserve. So those are the quotes of praise on the cover. The actual description says, Camille Meadows is the new girl at the prestigious Edelweiss Academy for Girls. Soon after her arrival, 6 girls invite her to join them in a late-night ritual, calling forth the spirit of a dead former student who reportedly haunts their halls. But before morning, one of the girls is dead, leaving the others wondering what they may have awakened. It's a pretty standard setup for a seance story. Seances have, of course, in the real world, this whole long history, and I've read books about it. Lisa Morton, in fact, has written a pretty good book on the subject. I've written about it, albeit in less detail than that. I haven't written a whole book on seances alone, but there are mentions of seances in some of the things I've written, so there's all that rich history. But then when we get into horror movies, they tend to have this kind of a setup. You partake of the seance, and you think you're talking to your ancestor or your friend or the friendly spirit who haunts your school's halls or something like that. And it turns out maybe somebody else picks up the other end of that phone call, and you end up calling down some evil upon yourself. So that's kind of how seances go in horror movies, and that's exactly what seems to happen here. But because we've seen that before does not mean that it's not worth watching this particular take on it. Like I said, this is not one that I have seen before. I can't say whether it was good or bad or whatever else, but it sounds like an intriguing one, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Next, we have a film. We have Infinity Pool. This one I have seen before. I saw this one in the theaters, in fact, and it came out, I believe, last year, and I've talked about it on this channel before. I've reviewed it on this channel before. It is a weird movie, but it's a good one. If you like Cronenberg, you're probably going to like this one. That's basically what this is. I'll read the description off the back, and then I can say a few other things. The description says, while staying at an isolated island resort, James and Em are enjoying a perfect vacation of pristine beaches, exceptional staff, and soaking up the sun. But guided by the seductive and mysterious Gabby, they venture outside the resort grounds and find themselves in a culture filled with violence, hedonism, and untold horror. A tragic accident leaves them facing a zero-tolerance policy for crime. Either you'll be executed, or, if you're rich enough to afford it, you can watch yourself die instead. And I can tell you a little bit what that means. It's not really a spoiler to say so, because I think even the trailers gave it away. The idea is you can clone yourself, and your clone can be executed for the crime in your place. Which basically means if you're wealthy in this world, you have a free ticket to do as much crime as you want, and your clones are going to pay the price for all of it, so you never have to pay any price at all. Which sounds, if you are a hedonist, a narcissist, a sociopath, that sounds like a wonderful thing. That sounds like a free ride to do whatever you want. But we also know, in the real world, nobody gets away with things. You think you get away with things, but you end up undoing yourself. That's what crime and punishment is all about. And if you find yourself, like I said before, if you find yourself in a horror movie, you're going to get some kind of horror movie justice. And I'm not going to say too much about what happens in this because I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets weirder and weirder, and it's fairly disturbing, but a really good film. Well, go figure. My battery died just as I was wrapping up with Infinity Pool. All I really had left to say was that though I have seen this, and as I said, did in fact enjoy it, I didn't yet have a copy in my collection, so I'm thrilled to have gotten this Blu-ray. I've been looking forward to. I've been meaning to rewatch it, and I will look forward to rewatching it. And as I said before, my full review will be coming when I do my monthly review video. But that leaves us with just one film left to talk about, and that must be the HorrorPack exclusive. And we have, indeed, exclusive number 102. It's a film entitled Spider Baby, which is one that I'm not familiar with. It's sort of a retro style cover art. There's a lot of text on it. I'm going to read the front first and then the back. It says, the maddest story ever told. It says, she wove a subtle web in a little corner sly and set her table ready to dine upon the fly. Seductive and innocent with the hunger of a black widow. This is a HorrorPack exclusive limited edition Blu-ray, and the description on the back says, an all-new remake of the 1967 cult classic. In a dilapidated rural mansion, the last generation of the degenerate inbred Merv family lives with the inherited curse of a disease that causes them to mentally regress. The family chauffeur, Bruno, looks out for them and covers up their indiscretions. Trouble comes when greedy distant relatives and their lawyer arrive to dispossess the family of their home. But the children will protect their house and bloodline at all costs. And then it mentions a bunch of people who are in the film. And it sounds like an interesting one. There are some names that I recognize, including Brink Stevens, among several others. So that bodes well. It sounds like an interesting one. It's, as I said, not one that I'm familiar with. That is usually the case with these HorrorPack exclusives. Last month notwithstanding, usually they're films that frequently I haven't heard of at all, and even if I had, most often they're ones that I had not yet seen. But though I haven't seen this one and I can't comment on this one in particular, they tend to be really good. Some of them are great, a lot of them are good. Very few of these HorrorPack exclusives have really not done it for me. So I'm looking forward to trying this one as well. Which brings us to the end of yet another month. 4 new movies. Well, 4 movies that are new copies. One of which I think I might have a copy of. One of which I've seen but don't have a copy of. And 2 I haven't seen. So a good mix of subgenres, which is one of the things that I like about HorrorPack. You always get a decent mix of some natural serial killers and crime thriller kinds of things, along with some supernatural horror. In this case, some Cronenberg-style weirdness. So always a good mix. I'm looking forward to trying the ones of these that I have not yet seen. And of course, I always look forward to next month's pack as soon as I open up this month's pack, because they always seem to give us good things. But I did only put my battery on the charger for a couple of minutes just to give me enough juice to get through the end of this video. I'm already seeing a little warning on my monitor down here that's telling me I'm running low on battery power, so I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go watch some movies. Do be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, all those kinds of things. Check the What's It for purchase links to these. And of course, as always, take care and stay scared.